Too often we think that a crying child is a disruption. But with this gospel reading more than any other, a crying child is a prophet. A crying child teaches us what we should be doing as we read what our Lord did for us. And so I thank the crying children, because they remind us that our hearts shatter just a little bit when we say those words, crucify him, crucify him. You know, growing up, this Sunday was always a little strange for me, because I liked it, because, you got a prize to take home, you got your little palm branch, and if the homily was particularly boring, I would just spend the whole time making a little cross. But then the gospel was so long, and I'd just be standing there, and about 2 pages in, I'd be flipping like, what, there are 3 pages to go? But I liked that I had a speaking part in the gospel. I thought that was pretty cool. But then I hated the lines that I was given. And I think that every year we have that mix of emotions at this Mass. We start off on such a joyful note, and then the words that the liturgy has us say break our hearts. And so we do well to reflect on those words. What was the first word that the chorus had in today's reading? Well, it began with Jesus asking us a question, saying, "When I sent you forth without a money bag or sack or sandals, were you in need of anything?" And we all said, "No, nothing." We begin by admitting that God's taken care of us in the past. That in spite of our worries, in spite of our difficulties, He's given us life. And then when we needed it most, He's always given us just enough for that next step moving forward in this life. But then, it's not a page later that we start misunderstanding Him. He says, "But now one who has a money bag should take it, and likewise a sack, and one who does not have a sword should sell his cloak and purchase one." He says to us, not prepare for physical battle. What He says for us is, if you're going to follow me, if you're going to let me take care of you, if you're going to be my disciple, guess what? It's going to be hard. You're going to follow me to the cross. And that's not a comfortable place to be, but trust that I will take care of you. He asks us to trust after reminding us of how He's taken care of us in the past. And yet, immediately we misunderstand Him. We say, well, Lord, there are 2 swords here. And then when we see that He's being betrayed, when we see that what He foretold is coming true, we say, Lord, shall we strike with a sword? After reminding ourselves that He's taken care of us in the past, we immediately jump to, okay, but right now I need to take matters into my own hands. And so one of them struck the ear of one of the guards. And how often do we do that? So often. Even as we reflect on how God's taken care of us in the past, we say, but no, not with this situation. I need to do it my way. And then Jesus is forgotten. He leaves the scene. For a while, He has no speaking parts because He's been betrayed. But then what does the chorus say? As soon as Jesus is no longer in the center of things, we start pointing fingers at each other. This man too was with Him, is what we said. Then we insisted, we said, you too are one of them. Assuredly, this man too was with Him, for he also is a Galilean. The moment Jesus is no longer our center, once He's been betrayed, once He's been taken out of the scene, we turn on each other. We say, you need to be punished. And you. You're the source of my problems. I don't even want to talk about you. And we turn on each other. And then the chorus's next lines become the worst ones. Once we've turned on each other, after having taken matters into our own hands, we turn against our Lord. We start mocking him. We say, prophesy, who is it that struck you? If you are the Christ, tell us. Are you the Son of God? We start questioning him in anger and then eventually in mockery. And then we realize the Lord that we welcomed in, we don't want him to actually be Lord of our lives. Maybe of our Sundays, maybe of an hour on Sunday. But God forbid it goes for an hour, 10 minutes. I'll start sharpening my pitchfork right then. We want him to be Lord of parts of our lives, but not of our whole life. And so then we say those things that break our hearts. We say, away with this man, release Barabbas to us. And then we want no mercy on this man. We say, crucify him, because he is a reminder to me that I've rejected him. We say this with our lips on Palm Sunday and on Good Friday. And we hate it. We hate saying those words because it breaks something within us. But we need to, at least once a year, say that with our lips so that we can recognize when throughout the year we say it with our lives. Because any time that we say, not your way, but my way, we're essentially saying, away with this man, release Barabbas to me. Who's Barabbas? The person that you choose instead of God? Barabbas is the person looking at you in the mirror. I am Barabbas. Every day when I say, God, I don't want you in this part of my life. I don't want you in this situation in my life. I say, away with you. I want Barabbas. And then since he's still there in my conscience, since he still reminds me, I love you, I have a better way for you, I say, crucify him. Crucify him. I don't want him to have any control over my life. We admit that God's taken care of us in the past, but then we take matters into our own hands and say, I will provide the solution. Once that happens, our Lord is often forgotten or betrayed. And so we turn on each other and we start blaming each other, accusing each other, condemning each other. And then finally we turn on our Lord. But friends, that's not the end of the story, not even close. Because the church has us remember this, puts these words on our lips, so that our Lord can tell each and every one of us today, yes, you did that to me. Yeah, in your lives, you have done that to me. But I did all of this for you. We reflect less on the fact that we're guilty and more on the fact that He's loving. Because we call this Palm Sunday of the Passion of our Lord. Passion means suffering, but also the way that we use it, it means to care deeply about something. Our Lord loves you with a passionate love. He has you recall His suffering not just to make you feel guilty, but to make you realize how deeply you are loved. He looks at each and every one of us today and He says, you are worth every single drop of blood that I had in my body. Every painful step was worth it for you. And so we enter into this Holy Week. And we can live it from a distance, like any other week. We can say like, oh yeah, Lord, sometimes I mess up and other times I'm just fine, but really, I went to church on Sunday, so aren't we good? Or we can make this week unlike any other week. This week we can journey with our Lord. We can say, Lord, I don't deserve this love that you have for me, but I'm so grateful for it. I want to relive these mysteries in my life. I don't want to, in my day-to-day living, say, crucify Him, crucify Him. Instead, I want to say, assuredly, this man was the Son of God. So we journey with Him in these days, and we do it not just with guilt, we do it with gratitude. That in spite of every single time that we've said, away with this man, release Barabbas to us, He's looked at us not with judgment but with love and said, I still do this for you. Because I want you to know that I suffer for love of you, for your sake. so that in your sufferings and in your life, you can unite yourself to me. And then on that glorious Easter Sunday, you can rise with me as well.